Alright, come join Kyle, John and David as they go through what's on their playlist, find out what's everyone's favourite at Chicken Soup for the Soul Entertainment. We have a few segments, to be honest, in and out points, no celebs and the gossip, back in time where we're talking about the big M's, coming attractions, what the cue, quick checks, who'll be laughing, you abundantly. Welcome to Dual Redundancy.
Yes, welcome to Dual Redundancy, the only podcast where you can hear all latest in television, entertainment news, and Oscar nominations from two millennials with exactly the same opinions. I'm one of those hosts, David Allen, and another one is
John Berwick. The third one is
Kyle Bridger. I would say that John is our Mr. Milchick, and Dave is our Miss Cobell, and I am good old Rickon Hale. He's my favorite, dude.
Yeah, I could see that. I believe you got John's wrong. I think he's Mr. Milkshake.
Mr. Milkshake, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Milkshake over there. Yeah. Miss Cobell. What's her other name? Selvig.
Selvig, yeah.
Yeah. Who am I? Jekyll, Mr. Hyde here. No, we got so much to talk about. We have so many things. We've been off for a bit. It's our first show of 2025. And for a bit, and man, we've been waiting a long time for two shows, 3 years in fact, for each of them for their second seasons. We're going to talk about both of them. We're going to talk about Squid Game, all of Squid Game, and then we're going to talk about the 2 episodes of Severance season 2, including the episode that dropped today. Not to mention Oscar nominations. So much to do. No in and out points tonight. We're jumping right into the nominations. Let's do it. When we're talking Oscars, what do we got?
I think you're looking at an Academy Award nomination also.
Did he just say what I thought he said?
What?
Yes, Victor!
Oscars. I smell Oscars.
You see what a little buzz can do in this town?
I predicted it. I said this is the one. This is the vehicle. Morley, you told me not to do it.
All right. Here we go. We're about the Oscars, about a week delay due to the wildfires in California. But they announced them yesterday, January 23rd, and we have the nominations now for the 97th Academy Awards scheduled to take place on March 2nd on ABC and on Hulu. Initially, we were going to have a show last week, and this whole time I was like, all right, we're going to do it Friday with the premiere of Severance and the Oscar nominations. And they're like, no, actually, Oscar nominations, we're going to delay them till Sunday. It's like, all right, are you guys available Sunday or Monday? It's like, nope, actually, we're going to delay them till Thursday. It's like, okay, we actually have them now. We got them.
Yeah.
We can talk about them. It actually helped us out with Severance, but we'll get to that later. We're going to break down the top stories from the Oscars. We're not going to go full in depth. We're not going to do predictions. It's just like, the stories, reactions, snubs, surprises, stuff like that. We got to talk about main story here. Emilia Perez led the pack with 13 nominations, followed by The Brutalist and Wicked with 10, and then A Complete Unknown and Conclave had 8. Those 5 films, along with Anora, Dune Part 2, I'm Still Here, Nickel Boys, and The Substance are your 10 Best Picture nominees. All right. I know we're all at a different place with films.
Definitely. Very different.
This is probably the year I'm the least tapped in. And I don't know about you guys. Just Kyle, give me your initial thoughts. At the very least, these 10 films, have you heard of them? Have you seen any of them? Or any surprise you? Any, what's going on with these 10?
Well, I was kind of waiting to see what the nominations were to see how much homework I have to do, because this year has kind of been a slog for me. So nothing really excited me in terms of the films, but I'm glad for Dune Part 2. I thought it was a great movie. I'm surprised to see Wicked super. I mean, I know it's super popular, but I didn't know it would get critical acclaim. I'm surprised by some based on what I've heard. A Complete Unknown I heard was good, but we get these biopics it feels like every year. And I'm excited to watch Anora. Not really excited about Conclave, but some of these I haven't even heard, like The Brutalist I didn't even hear of. So that's new to me.
Buckle up for that one. That film has an intermission, so
Oh God.
maybe watch that one at home. Um, yeah, these are the ones I've been hearing mostly about. I think like when these nominations come out, I think a lot of people had probably seven or eight of them. Like, all right, these seven or eight are in. The two biggest on the bubble were probably Nickel Boys, and then the one that was a lot of people didn't have on their list that was a surprise was I'm Still Here, which we'll talk about in a bit, have like some of the lower nomination totals,
Mhm.
and were kind of a surprise. But yeah, there's seven or eight of them. They're like, all right, these are the ones. And if you asked a few months ago, um, a lot of people had Honora as the favorite, as the front runner. It was the Palme d'Or winner at Cannes. Sean Baker, from Florida Project, is the director of it. And as for that, like prediction, I kind of never saw it because it's not a film I feel like for a wide audience. There's a lot
Mhm.
of stuff in it that I don't think is going to play to every Academy voter.
Mhm.
But then at the same time, the new front runner in all this, the one that has 13 nominations, Amelia Perez, is divisive with a capital
Yeah.
D. It's like, so it's one of those things where it's like, like, and maybe Honora would be people's like third or fourth favorite because of how divisive some of these other films are.
Yeah.
So it could be still one of the front runners. But yeah, Amelia Perez. I don't know if you've heard a lot about this. I actually saw it's on Netflix.
Mhm.
Um, it led nominations at the Golden Globes, and it won the most at the Globes with four, including Best Film Musical or Comedy. And a lot of people were like, "Hmm, is this like a fluke?" Like, the Golden Globes are weird. We don't know
Yeah.
for sure what's going on.
You never know. You never know with them.
You never know. But then, nope, it has the most nominations here with 13. Um,
But usually the Globes don't match up with the
no,
Oscars, so
no.
it is weird to get. I saw it because I
They've
saw
gotten a
some
little
mixed
better.
things.
They've gotten a little better, the Globes. I feel like once they kind of had their reform a little
Hmm.
bit, they've gotten a little bit closer, but then also kind of makes it a little bit more boring.
Hmm.
But anyways, 13 nominations. That's actually the most ever for an international feature.
Wow.
This also means it is one shy of tying the record of overall nominations. And only three films have done the 14 nominations, and that's Titanic, All About Eve, and La La Land.
Wow.
So that's crazy because to me, I saw the film, and there's been a lot of chatter online,
Hmm.
and a lot of people don't like it. And
Hmm.
I would say it's maybe I went in hearing not many people like it. I'm like, okay, it's not like terrible, but is it great? No. Like it's okay. It's like there's some things that are good and there's some things that are not good. It's just
In terms of what, like story, production? What are we
yeah,
talking?
all that. Like, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
there's some really bad dialogue. There's some musical numbers which if when before Twitter became what it was being shared around Twitter and of like
Yeah.
this is the musical or comedy film that we're celebrating here with some of this dialogue. But um, yeah, it also has the lowest Rotten Tomato score of all the Best Picture nominees.
Mm.
Um, 76% with critics, which is still the lowest. But if you look at audience score, 33%.
Wow.
Letterbox also low, and this is like a lot of people. If you Google the film, it's like almost they're comparing. Is this going to be the like Crash, like the year Crash won and over like a Brokeback Mountain, like
Hmm.
yikes, kind of movie. It's just it is one of those things that like most nominations doesn't mean wins though.
Yeah.
So I mean, it certainly helps right now. It certainly
Mm.
propels the story of the front runner because oh man, this must be good. And there's 13 nominations, but it's like we've seen that a lot with other films, including some recent Netflix films. I mean,
Yeah, I was
remember
just thinking Netflix.
yeah,
Isn't Netflix like the home of this stuff
yeah,
where they get a bunch of nominations but then can't pull through?
yeah. I mean, like, you go back to like Roma, I think they had like 10 nominations. It got, three or four wins, but it couldn't get Best Picture. But
Yeah.
then you have something like The Irishman. I don't know the exact number, but I feel like it was 10, 11 nominations,
Ton. A
zero,
ton of them.
zero wins.
Yeah.
So I think Maestro was there, Marriage Story. A lot of these films get a lot of nominations, maybe one or two wins here and there, but like
Hmm.
they don't get the big one. Netflix hasn't won the big one.
No.
So I don't know. Meanwhile, if you look at some of the other ones with all those nominations, The Brutalist, Wicked, they have their own controversies. Brutalist has a kind of use of AI, of maybe manipulating some of the dialogue set of some of the actors. So then it's like, well,
Oh wow.
what is, makes it a better film, quote unquote, but is that affecting the performance, which is nominated for an Oscar if it wasn't done by them? And there's some like production design stuff as well. So that has its own thing. Obviously, it's a hot button issue. And then while many maybe love Wicked, many find I think the technical aspects of Wicked kind of boring, bland. I've seen a
Mm.
lot of people talk about like the lighting not looking good, like, even just like the effects. It's just like it doesn't seem like I don't know. It's just I
Yeah.
feel like the overall thing is like there's a lot of like good films, but like I don't know if there's
There's
like a lot of great films.
yeah, there's not a clear front runner for a best picture a winner here. So, I mean, I was wondering if Honora's star like shined too bright too
Too quick,
early,
yeah, might.
but maybe with the nominations it gets another bump. People start to rent it, check it out a little bit more, and maybe it gets a little bit of more buzz.
Yeah, I just worry
But
it's too like in the middle of the pack, like with the
yeah,
nominations. Like
yeah,
you get the headlines where it's like, I mean, even this document, this photo here, it's like the four films they picked, Nora's not in these four, and
yeah.
it's just like it's because Amelia Perez and Brutalist and Wicked got all the attention,
Mm,
um, and then like you have something like Conclave, an early consensus of a very good film, but it missed some big nominations, including nothing for Best Director. Directors Guild had their nominations, and they all matched except for the director of Conclave. That was actually switched out here for The Substance, which was
mm,
also probably like a surprise of it getting so much love. A lot of people like it. It's a
yeah.
very like kind of fun cult hit,
Mm,
but it's not everyone's cup of tea. It's a body horror type film.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
so I don't know. I think if you like look at these like lists, it's like as usual, there's like a tier to it all. And I think like you have something like if I had to like split it in half, you have like Honora,
Mm,
Complete Unknown, Conclave, Amelia Perez, and Wicked. Like they're also because they all got the SAG ensemble nominations, which help.
mm.
Actors are a large group of the voting body for the Oscars, so it's like, oh, those were the favorites for the SAG, Screen Actors Guild. So that's their version of Best Pictures. I think they put them in like the top tier.
Yeah.
Those five films also got Producer Guild noms, which is good. If anything, maybe you swap out Wicked and put in The Brutalist to match the high nomination that the Brutalist got, but also because Brutalist got Best Director and Screenplay, which Wicked did not. So
Mm.
maybe you put the Brutalist probably instead of Wicked in that like the top five contenders.
I
But yeah,
just wonder, like, is it Wicked's commercial success to so
yeah.
much to their, critical acclaim, or is it really one of the best of the year, that kind of thing,
It was that website that did it.
Yeah. A lot of people went and got the toy and they're like, oh, maybe they're not voting for this Wicked. They're voting for a different Wicked. If you know, you know. Check out the
Yeah.
the Dual
No,
Redundancy
don't,
archives.
don't check out the link though.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just I don't know. I don't know about like maybe it's like also like it's kind of like a feel good movie right now and a lot of people want to
Mm.
feel good
Yeah,
with everything
that's
going
true.
on, but
But it's just a part one too, right?
it's just a part one.
Yeah.
And yeah, but it's interesting though because I'm pretty sure it should be Wicked Part One on this graphic, just like how it's Dune Part Two. Don't hide that Part One. Don't be ashamed of it.
Wicked
Yeah.
2. No, it's just gonna be Wicked
Yeah.
2. It's gonna be the sequel, not part 2.
Well, they actually said the title is Wicked for Good. So it's like this is
Wicked
it for
for
good.
good. Okay.
But you have the
Oh
four
yeah.
there. It's like FOR, but you know, very confusing. Anyways, let's look at some things to watch. I want to talk maybe about the acting races here.
Okay.
Because I think a lot of them are shaping up to be kind of set in stone as per usual. You get at least the one or two, like maybe between one or two, but you have Best Actor and Best Actress here listed. Any thoughts on these nominees, Kyle?
Um, I've heard Timothée Chalamet was good in A Complete Unknown. but I think Coleman Domingo's getting a lot of love too for Sing Sing. Um, I'm surprised we're still doing, dude. People, for what it is, love Trump. I mean, Sebastian Stan is in here. The Apprentice stuff is in here.
Well,
So
what's interesting with that is the Apprentice was not getting much
yeah.
awards love for a while, and
Hmm.
I think it helped with the Golden Globes because Sebastian Stan won for a different movie,
Yeah.
and then got to talk about The Apprentice. And I
Hmm.
think there's a little bit of like, because he didn't get nominated for that movie, the one he won the Golden Globe for, he got nominated for this movie,
Yeah.
and I think that helped him a bit. I think yeah, like some of the Golden Globes, I think helps a lot of actors. We'll talk, even like with Best Actress with Demi Moore, like that win and that speech really helped her, I
Hmm.
think, get seen here. Not to mention, I'm Still Here. I mean, EDM pop rock in there says, I'm Still Here pulled off a blind side. The Best Actress Drama Golden Globe winner pulls in their film into the race without getting the presumed easier, awards. It's like, because yeah, let's say Best Adapted Screenplay nomination. Actually, I'm reading that. I have to reread that again, EDM pop rock. I'm doing this live on the podcast. There's a lot of details in there, but no, but that's the thing that like that actress there, Torres, won surprisingly at the Golden Globes, and that really helped her get into this Best Actress
Mm.
race. So it's like it's those Golden Globe moments, because it's like it's one of the first awards. You get the speech, you get the stuff going on. It's like, and I think that helped Demi Moore a lot because she's now kind of becoming the favorite over somebody like Mikey Madison, who was the early
Yeah.
favorite in that category.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, like with lead actor, right now it's kind of a two-horse race between Adrian Brody and Timothy Chalamet. And there's a little bit of, like I said, that controversy with AI that may actually hurt uh, Brody a little bit here. Timothy Chalamet is actually, going to be hosting SNL tomorrow night, but he's going to be the host and musical guest. So the assumption is he's going to be performing some Bob Dylan. So it's
Mm.
like, oh, this is a great, for your consideration platform.
Yeah.
So that could be what sets him for the win. And what's really interesting about that little trivia, so Adrian Brody actually holds the record for the youngest Best Actor winner. I think for The Pianist back in the day.
Hmm.
However, if Timothy Chalamet wins, he would beat that record by just a few days.
Oh, wow. That's
So,
crazy.
so he
That's
may
wild.
become the new youngest lead actor winner. So it's kind of and have them both in the same category is kind of a cool little uh you know
How
deal
old
here.
was it again?
Uh, I'm gonna guess he must be like 29, I think, because I think that's how old
Wow.
Timmy is. I think.
Wow.
I'll have to look up live on the podcast how old Timmy. Um, yeah, he's 29.
Wow.
So.
Wild.
I guess he's going to be 30 this year at the very end of the year, but still. Um, all right, if we look at the supporting races here, there's, I think of the acting races, these are the ones that are more locked up than the lead ones. Right now, for supporting actor, it's Kieran Culkin has it like locked up. He's won like all the precursors,
Hmm.
and I've heard mixed things. I haven't seen
Yeah, I've heard
the
mixed
film
things
yet,
too. Yeah.
and I heard he's very good, but I also heard it's very Roman Roy, almost like,
Yeah.
hey, we voted
Yeah.
for Succession at the Emmys, but we didn't get a chance to vote for him at the Oscars, so let's vote Roman Roy to win this.
Yeah.
And it's like, isn't also I've heard it's like he's very much like a co-lead with Jesse Eisenberg in the film,
Hmm.
so it's like, okay, but you know. He always has great speeches. I'm sure that helped. People love him right now. But it is kind of an interesting thing again. There's a like succession showdown in the same category with Jeremy Strong. He's there for The Apprentice.
Yeah. That's
So,
pretty wild.
yeah.
That's
So,
wild.
yeah. Any thoughts on these supporting races, Kyle?
No, I heard the same exact thing
Yeah.
about A Real Pain. They were mixed on it, and then the other person I spoke with said that that Kieran just felt like a Roman Roy. So it's like everything it's this consensus building about that. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, nothing. It's just weird that the two Succession guys are there.
Yeah. Yeah, no Sarah Snook though in the supporting actress race. Instead, the favorite right now is Zoe Saldana. She had the Golden Globe win. But I gotta be honest with you, I'm scratching my head at this one, and I feel like nobody is talking about it online. Nobody. Maybe I missed the
Mm,
boat. Maybe people don't care as much. But she's not a supporting actress in the film. She's not the titular Amelia Perez. She is not. But I'm pretty sure I looked it up after the fact. She has the most screen time of
mm,
the actresses in the film. And sure, she's not
mm.
the titular Amelia Perez driving, but she starts the film. She's in the film the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Is
I don't know
is
about that.
there is what are the rules on that? Is it just runtime?
There's really not many like rules necessarily. Like, I don't believe it's kind of like you can campaign to it, and then the Academy and the voters can be like, nah, we're not gonna put you there, kind of thing. Like, there's been
Mm,
times where I think an actor says I'm this, and they put them in the other category. Um, and let's see, like, for instance, it's there's a lot of just like campaigning and like marketing strategy, probably with
yeah.
agents and studios, because it's like, um, I would have to double check it, but I believe, like, for instance, Judas and the Black Messiah, both Daniel Kaluuya and Lakeith Stanfield were both supporting actor,
Mm,
but like, you know, it's the titular role. I mean, it's
yeah.
like it's kind of
Yeah.
one of those things. It's a two-hander. It would be,
Hmm.
you know, again, if like Jesse Eisenberg and Kieran Culkin were both in supporting actor, it's like, well, wait a minute, well, who's the lead actor then? Like, you know,
Hmm.
but yeah, so
Yeah, that's a
um,
weird one.
it's a weird one. Um, yeah, I want to talk a little bit about some snubs, some surprises, stuff like that. Is there anything that you saw, Kyle, maybe on the list that I was like, oh, why isn't this one getting more love or anything like that?
Well, I'm upset in our Oscar pool. I don't Daniel Craig. I was hearing good things about Daniel Craig, and he got snubbed. So what's up with that?
Yeah.
Challengers, yeah, I saw. I'm not surprised it didn't get on, honestly.
Well,
But
yeah, I mean, for me with challengers, it's like, okay, people thought screenplay maybe, but
mm,
many said score. Many people thought it was going to be a score. It won the
yeah,
Golden Globe for score. I mean,
yeah, it is very good on that.
so that one is
Yeah.
like, ugh, like how did that not get in there? And then, as you mentioned, like it was a bad actually day just for Luca Guadagnino, who is the director of both Challengers and the film you mentioned with Daniel Craig called Queer. It's like neither of those films this year got anything for him, and many people thought, whether it was a Challenger score, Daniel Craig for lead actor, something, but nothing for either of those films. But
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah,
I'm Denny Villeneuve
yep.
not getting a nomination too, right, for a director. That's tough to take. I still haven't seen Nosferatu yet, but I'm interested to watch it. Have you seen it yet, Dave?
Not yet, not yet. But with Denis Villeneuve, it's like it's wild because he didn't get the directing nom for Dune Part One, and many people were like, "WTF? Like,
Yeah.
what the hell here?" And you thought maybe, hey, maybe the second time around, all right, we got him this
Mm,
time. No, again, no love for that. Even though, like, it picked up plenty of below the line nominations. If anything, it was a little bit of a lighter day. You would think I enjoyed part two a bit more. Maybe it was a
mm,
tougher year, but like got only five noms total, and four of
that's
which were
wild.
below the line. Um,
Wow.
Meanwhile, it's like you look at a film like Wicked, that film got in over for film editing and costumes and makeup and some acting awards over Dune Part Two.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
I don't know. And I think it was hurt by the whatever March it came out, March, April of last year, it's one of those things where it's like, Wicked came out in November.
Mm,
And I think like the timing of that might have hurt it a bit. Um but
yeah.
yeah, some of these numbers, like I always comment on this because for me some of it doesn't make sense. Like you have a film like you know, um Okay, so like I'm Still Here and Nickel Boys. They made it into Best Picture. Haven't seen the films yet, so I can't really comment on the merits of those films. But the thing I want to talk about, they made it in over films like Nosferatu or Sing Sing. Yet the other two got more nominations in other areas. Like Nosferatu got 4 total nominations: cinematography, makeup and hair, costume, production design. Yet I'm Still Here just had 2 others besides Best Picture: Best Actress and International Feature. Then like Nickel Boys, it's like just had adapted screenplay and picture. So it's like it's one of those things where like so Nickel Boys is like screenplay was so good. It got the picture,
Yeah.
but like it's something like Nosferatu got like cinematography, makeup, hair, costume, production, and all this stuff. Not good enough for picture. Like it's like this weird
So it's like
thing.
only certain categories matter for if you want to win the best picture, basically.
Yeah, or even get
Or they
nominated
like
for
try
it.
to justify giving it best picture by certain
Yeah.
category. I don't know.
I mean, it's just one of those things like Nickel Boys had adapted screenplay and picture. So it got screenplay and picture. But A Real Pain got screenplay, acting, no picture. So it's kind of like, again, it's just like
Yeah.
and it's probably going to win at least the acting award for Kieran Culkin.
Hmm.
It's one of
It
those
is
things where
weird.
it's just like a weird thing because I'm sure there's other things where it's like, oh, it's still good in other areas to make it as a whole
Yeah.
best picture, and maybe it
Yeah.
wasn't in the top 5 cinematographies or the top
That's
five
fair. I think that's
costumes or
fair
whatever.
too.
But it's just like a funny little thing where it's like something like, oh, like Nosferatu couldn't, it got 4 other nominations. Like if it got one more, it would have tied with Dune.
Yeah.
Like,
That's pretty
but
wild.
yeah, but yeah. Any other snubs? Any other things I'm missing here?
I wrote down some things. Oh, I saw people were kind of wondering about Margaret Qualley too,
Yeah.
possibly getting a nomination. But yeah, no, we talked about the others that I had on my
Yeah,
list.
some people thought, you had Ariana Grande making it. Maybe you thought, Selena Gomez was going to be in for Amelia Perez. I
Mm,
mean, Amelia Perez got plenty of nominations.
yeah.
But yeah, one who always gets a nomination. We always got to bring her up, Diane Warren. Um,
Oh God.
Her 16th career nomination, 0 wins, and Best Original
Damn.
Song for, again, another movie nobody has heard of. And this is where it's like, all right, are we just scrolling for her name and just giving
Yeah.
her the nom as a joke at this point? Because it's like, who has heard of the 688? Like, who has seen that film? Let's be honest. And I remember like last year or the year before, the film that she was nominated for didn't even have a Wikipedia page. Like, come on. Come on, really?
Maybe
But
it is. Maybe it's someone's version of a cruel joke. He's
uh,
like, "We're gonna nominate you every year, and you will never win
yeah,
ever."
yeah. I think last year they gave her a like an honorary Oscar, so she has one at this point,
Hmm.
but she hasn't won a competitive Oscar yet.
Wow.
But anyway,
Well,
still,
good for her.
yeah, she has 16 more nominations than I do, so
Yeah.
Yep.
here we are.
But it's just funny.
No, definitely,
We should make
definitely,
that a little segment, the Diane Warren.
yeah. You know,
Oh,
yeah, we'll do a mashup of all of 16 songs she has, and that'll be our little clip. But all right, that is the Oscars. That's all we're going to talk about tonight when talking about the nominations, a little crash course in them as well. Man, we have 2 shows we've been dying to talk about for 3 years for both of them. Let's go back. Let's send us back.
We're back, baby.
John, how was he? I know he's a little rusty. We haven't done one in a while.
no
All
worse
right.
than usual.
Oh,
Oh God.
it's that's the bar. That's the bar for
I'm
Kyle.
perfect every time. What are you talking
Yeah.
about?
All right. All right. Well, maybe Kyle's innie would do a bit better.
Probably.
Yeah, we're talking about Severance, the season 2 premiere. Actually, we're going to talk about 2 episodes. We're probably really going to focus on last week's, but we are going to talk about the episode that dropped technically last night. But that's your warning. 2 episodes of Severance. Hello, Miss Cobell, and Goodbye, Mrs. Selvig are the 2 episodes we're talking about tonight. So after nearly 3 years, we return to Lumen and pick up immediately where we left off in the We Are season 1 finale. Mark and his MDR coworkers are supposedly any heroes and have initiated some severance worksite changes. However, despite knowing what they know and given the choice to leave, all 4 decide to stay at Lumen for various reasons, including Mark hoping to maybe find his supposedly dead wife, Gemma. Uh, a lot of what we saw in the first episode maybe got negated by the second episode. They kind of did a cool little thing here, and that's what I figured. And it was actually perfect with the delay in the nominations to talk about both episodes because I think they work together. Because the first episode focused solely on the innies. We are at Lumen. We are in the severed floors. And it's the second episode where we focus on the outies and we're in the real world. So we kind of get the other side of things here. But yeah, I got a lot of breakdown with this. John, start us off. What did you think of these 2 episodes of Severance?
I really enjoyed them. The first episode kind of started off with a really sick shot of Mark running around through the offices, and I know I linked you to, but definitely check out him and Ben Stiller did a little breakdown of that scene and talked about how they possibly did it. I mean, I remember watching it and being like, all right, that's cool. You got a tracking shot behind him, but then you have shots where it whips around to show him from like almost below, and it's like, oh, how do they do that? And there's times where he runs up to a dead end and the camera pans around and it comes back and it's not a dead end anymore, and it's like, how are they doing these shots? So it was really great, and it really set the tone for coming back after 3 years, basically telling you, oh, we mean business, we're here. But yeah, seeing the fake replacements, seeing the actual guys come back, and some demeanor changes that maybe they have and all that, very interesting. I think we're finally starting to get some info allowing us to form the questions we need to form, rather than a lot of season 1 was just like, okay, what's happening? And then the last like 2 or 3 episodes is like the match lit and you're like, oh, I get it. I see what's happening. Now we're getting a little bit more info to be able to say like, all right, here's the pieces we're putting together to figure out what the overall picture should be, so that then we can go on the adventure to solve it in the future. So we're building towards more information and a little bit of clarity, I think, which is nice. Yeah.
Well, what's funny is they give you more information and then they'll throw in like a new wrench. Like, why is there an Asian girl is now the floor manager? You know what I mean? Like this random Asian.
But why? Yeah, why is she a child?
Yeah,
like
it's just weird.
Yeah, the premiere really, I think, put us in like the innie headspace because there was nothing from the outside world, so it's like we knew just as much as like Mark did, and we find out a lot of it wasn't true, but there's questions of everything. There, he's got Milkshake, Milkshake being promoted to Cobell's old role. His role is being replaced by a young new deputy manager that's a child. His coworkers are being replaced by guest stars Bob Balaban and Alia Shawkat, and it's like, wait, something's not right here. It's 5 months have gone by, and he's running around and because for him, the last thing he was saying was like she's alive, and then boom, he's in the elevator and he's running around to try to find the wellness center to see her. And so yeah, but man, this show is so good. And like rewatching season 1, I forgot how tight, how smart, how well made it is. And man, that finale. Like I remembered it was good.
So great.
But it's probably one of the best episodes the show has done in many, many years. It's so well paced. The little things along the way that, and it just everyone finding out and trying to stop it. And it's just, and I was worried because, season 1 was dynamite. And then it's like, all right, you can make a good first season, but it's the sophomore slump you got to worry about. And a lot of promise, a lot of high hopes. And so far, I feel like they're delivering. A lot of the early reviews have called it worth the wait, which I like to see. But you always worry about shows like this when they expand the mystery or try to start answering some of those questions, because it's like, are these answers going to be even satisfying, like after all
Yeah,
this like build up, all these like theories, all this stuff going on. Because
I
people
think
are trying to guess and twist, and we'll talk about a few of them tonight.
I really think that depends on, did they do their homework in that pre-show, like, and build the universe, or are they playing catch up and trying to like fit pieces where they fit? You know what I mean? Like, do they know where the seasons are going right now, or are they saying the old like Breaking Bad, where they're like, oh, we don't know what's happening next, let's do something cool, and then how do we get out of this? Like I kind of hope with this kind of show that they have it all planned out and they're exposing the story rather than solving their issues as they go, because I think this has too much mystery and intrigue to be able to dig itself out effectively. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, even the thing that Dave sent us where they're matching up the time for the level of detail in that shows me that I think they've got I hope, I would
Yeah, I
assume that
hope so
they've got
too.
some kind of plan and they've mapped it out to a certain extent.
Mhm.
Um, but you're right, there is always that concern of like, oh man, is this gonna work? Like, does it feel good to be back with these characters? Are they going in the direction we like think they might,
Yeah.
or it doesn't seem too campy and stuff? So dude, I love everything about this.
Mm.
Even the production
Mm.
design, from in the office space to like back where Mark's living. It's so dreary. You can feel the
Yeah.
dread, but
Yeah.
inside is a different vibe. It's so well done. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
I could be wrong with all this, so I'm kind of might be just talking out, from what I've heard when it got all mixed around. But I believe the first episode was kind of written by Dan Erickson, the show's creator, as kind of just like, an idea. Like it was just writing it around, and then it was almost like just to show, hey, look, I can write, like the spec script kind of thing. I can write, and it got to Ben Stiller, and it's like, he's kind of was like, okay, let's work on something here, and then they're like, Ben's like, well, why don't we do what you wanted to write? And it was kind of, I think initially, I don't know if in that pilot he planned any of this out.
Oh
This is just
wow.
like, but then it was just like, and I'm sure once it got picked up, it's like, all right, we got to plan a little bit here. And I
Yeah.
really think in those 3 years, I really think now they have everything planned out. But I
Mm,
do worry it's like there was definitely a point, I'm sure, in season one where they're like, do we have everything fully figured out?
yeah.
No. But like, so there's some things, and we can talk about some like theories going around. Again, we don't know for sure here, so if you don't want to know any theories, because I'm trying to stay off the Reddit completely. I don't want to read any theories because I don't want anything judging me. But this one theory, my wife, when watching the first episode, kind of thought of it, and then a lot of people on Reddit have been saying this, and now I'm kind of seeing it as well, especially after episode 2. But there's a theory about Helly. Have you guys heard this theory about Helly?
I heard it.
Mm,
Yeah.
I have not.
Okay. This idea is the Helly that is in season 2 so far, that's in the Any world, is her outie.
Ah,
And you
So
know what? Watching it, I was like, "Oh, why is she flip-flopping on this?" And I didn't put two and two together. But after reading some people's ideas on that, I think that's pretty plausible.
yeah.
mm,
So it's an interesting idea. I mean, I think the main thing that really stuck out to people is in the first episode when they're all sharing, like, oh, like what happened? What did you see when you were up
Mhm.
there, kind of thing. And her outside story being so obvious a lie. And at first people are like, I even thought like, okay, she just doesn't want to seem like the bad guy.
yeah.
She's
She's
an
Yeah.
Egan.
Shane. Yeah,
She's an Egan. She doesn't want to like say that to them. But
yeah,
it was like so obvious, and Irv even like caught it. It's like, wait a minute. Like, you know,
A
how do
nighttime
a
gardener?
nighttime
yeah.
gardener.
Yeah, so it's because but then it's like you can argue, well, she was inside. Like, did she even see any windows? And it's like it's
Yeah.
hard to say. But then there was a part when Mark and her are walking around the hallways, and Mark's like, "Yeah, I might stay." I mean, it's like I gotta look for my wife, kind of thing. We're kind of like same to them. Like we're like the same kind of people. And the way she says, like, "No, we are not the same." And it's almost the thing of like, because in the first season, there's definitely this balance of like she, like her Audi is like, no, you guys are not the same as
Mm-hmm.
us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, I think it could also work the other way where it's like, no, like we're the good people and they're the terrible ones out
Mm-hmm.
there. So
Mm-hmm.
all these things can work on both levels.
Levels. Yeah.
But the thing that really stood out to me, I was kind of looking for it when the thing that Kyle alluded to that I sent around before the show started to the guys was somebody took um, a scene from the first episode, a scene from the second episode, where they are pretty much arriving after the events of the finale, and it matches up. What they showed in the first episode matches with the second episode of them in the lobby going down to the basement. It all is there.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely heard the changing thing in the ding for the other three. I didn't think I heard it for Helly.
Yeah, I think you're
Uh,
right.
so it's an interesting theory, but again, that's the issue with some of this though, is like, people are going to be starting to get ahead of the show. And John, we were
Yeah.
there with Dexter. Remember that
Yep.
season?
Yep.
It's like we picked up on something in that first episode, and that was like the big twist of the season. And you're kind of like, all right, like, but
Yep.
but there's so much else going on in the show, and you're
Mm.
always second guessing it because even like stuff with Milchek in the first episode. Are you really telling Mark the truth? It's famous out there. It's been 5 months. Like we later
Yeah,
find
no.
out
That
none of that's
very
true.
obviously photoshopped picture of them in the exact same pose as the picture they took on the first
Yeah.
day. Like
Interesting, yeah. I didn't catch the picture, but I kind of knew something was up too. It just seemed
It's them photoshopped into a picture. I think somebody
That's
said it was
funny.
a picture of a parade for Eisenhower or something.
oh funny.
That's funny.
I will say I was a little maybe I don't know if concern is the right word at first, but I thought Mark is like fired and he rides the elevator. I almost thought it was gonna be like an elevator ride to like the new reality or something. Like it was like when he got like it was like a reset with the real team, almost like a good place scenario kind of thing. And I'm like, ooh, I don't like that. I don't like that where it's like, oh, there's the Bob Balaban team, and then there's your real team, and you're in a jumper. It's like, I
Yeah.
don't like that kind of thing. And thankfully, that's not the case. We also,
But there is some kind of underworld or something, right?
there's
There
what do
is
you
a
mean?
lower level because that's what Bert's painting.
Bert's
in
been
his-
painting, yeah.
yeah, and they sent I forget her name, Miss Casey down there as well.
Yeah.
Gemma,
Yeah, Gemma. Yeah. There's a down elevator somewhere at the end of a dark hallway. So
Yeah.
there is something going on.
Yeah, because they're already in the basement, and now there's another
Yeah.
basement where, I guess there's Gemma is there still. We'll see. But what's really interesting is like there has to be something going on here with Mark because they are bending over backwards to get this guy. Like he's like the chosen one. They're doing something with Mark because they can fire the other ones, but they need Mark. And we got a little bit in the second episode where it's like, well, we need him so he can finish Cold Harbor. And it's one of those things where like I rolled my eyes a little bit at it because I was like, okay, like what are we doing? Like it just seems a little like, oh, we need him for Cold Harbor, and it's just like, I don't know.
That gets me to we need to start learning a little bit more about what Lumen does.
Yeah.
Like they need to give us a little of those scraps because that's got to play a part here, and we've got to hear more about.
Yeah, maybe it was just the
Cold Harbor or
delivery
whatever
or
it's
like
That's
the term. It just sounded like
Yeah.
we're setting it up. Like we need him for Cold Harbor. And it's
that's
just
not
like,
the
okay.
first time it's been mentioned though.
Is
Oh,
it?
really? Where
So
is
at the end of I think it was the first episode where there's that computer screen with Gemma's face on it
Oh.
that flashed at the very end or whatever. That mentions Cold Harbor as well.
Yeah, so that must
So
must be
people are
something with his
theorizing-
wife
Yeah.
because it's like they need I don't know some kind of experiment, some mind thing or whatever. Like, well, in order to complete this, we need to have like like his wife and him because like we're not going to do this scenario again with somebody else and
Yeah.
plant a dead story or something. But I don't know. There's and I feel like this as much as we need to talk about the drama and the plot, there's so much like I think fun in the show too. There's a lot of like comedy, even like the
Yeah.
orientation video.
Oh my
Um,
God.
And it's just like I think they said Keanu Reeves I think is the voice
Yep.
of the building. But it's just there's a lot of comedy in the show. I think it's just such a smart show, even just like little things of like the break room, and it's just like it's a different take on that. And then even like Milchek kind of teases Dylan with, well, we got the visitation wing, and he's like, oh, so that means I can see my kid. And he's like, well, if you take the name literally, it does. And it's like, what does that mean,
What does that
Milchek?
mean?
What does that mean? And like,
Yeah.
there's just so much like, there's like, I don't know. It's like Milchek, man, that actor is so good.
Yeah, he is very, very
And
good.
just the way it's like, yeah, there's no microphones or cameras in here. It's like, but there were. We saw it in the video. Like,
Yep.
you say there isn't, but you're clearly still monitoring these guys. And at the very least, if Helly is who she says she isn't, like,
Hmm.
she has a thing on everything. I have my own little theory of something we might see this season based on this new intro we got for the second season. There's a lot of baby imagery with Mark. And obviously, you got the baby goats in season one, but a lot of babies with for Mark here. Helly and Mark, their innies are definitely in love. The real Helly knows this. Are we gonna get like some kind of Severance baby? That's all. I don't know.
Interesting.
Oh, God.
So there's some other baby theories. I don't know if
Oh,
you.
I haven't read any other ones.
Yeah,
That's just something I
I don't know if
watched
you want to be.
the second episode literally like an hour ago. So
Yeah, well, I mean, it was stemmed from the first episode of the second
Okay.
season. But again, if you want to remain in the dark on it, I don't want to bring them
All right.
up. You know what I
How
mean?
about you say it right now and I'm gonna get it out. Ready?
All
Go.
right. They think that that young woman, the new office coordinator, might be Mark and what's her name's child because she's young, and how long has it been since that crash? We don't know. So that's some of the theories. But
Oh,
that's
wow. Yeah, that would be something. Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
that would be
Okay.
something.
yeah.
Interesting. But yeah, so we'll see. There's a lot to like. I think we're all in. I don't think that's a question. I think we're
Yeah,
all in. We're all
100%.
invested. So
Yeah, for
we'll
sure.
be watching more and maybe we'll talk about season two and when it concludes in 2 months.
I'm also very happy. I believe they got the same guy to do that season 2 intro.
That intro, I mean,
Yeah, the intro is
I
great.
was a
Always
little
amazing.
worried at first when it started new, and I was like, man, that
Mhm.
first one's so good.
Mhm.
And then the second one came, I'm like, oh, this one's good too.
Yeah,
Like,
they got it.
yeah, so
It is very well done.
yeah.
And
But
I just have to say that the one shot of her walking, of Egan walking, it was
yeah.
like an MC Escher
Oh yeah,
painting.
yeah, it goes
Yeah, it
across.
was very
The
cool with the
cinematography on
office
this
space.
show, it better get
Yeah.
some Emmy love.
Yeah.
But all right. We got another show that had a second season. It took another 3 years for this one, but it's back. The phenomenon is back. Squid Game season two. So, after a terrible plan trying to take down Squid Game by going back to compete in the games, player 456 needs to come up with something else to not only stop the games forever, but also to get himself out. So, yeah, this dropped right after the holidays, and it's our first time talking about it here. Kyle, we all saw the whole season here. What did you
Mhm.
think? So, yeah, spoiler alert
Spoilers,
for
yeah.
season two.
Mhm.
What did you think of season two?
Um, I was very entertained, but I have mixed feelings about things, and I don't like the cliffhanger at the end. We're missing a lot of information still. Um, there's questions about some of the narrative as well that I was confused by. Um, some of the action sequences with the shooting, it turned it into a shootout, and I'm like, some of the action sequences weren't great, but I'm still interested in the games, and like they tried to bring the game master into the game, which kind of worked, kind of didn't for me. So it's really a mixed bag for me this season. But
Yeah.
once we start more in details, I'll get some more details down that I
Yeah.
didn't like. But
Yeah, I hear you on that, and I think I don't know for sure. I mean, the backstory on this, from what I understand, is the creator, season one, got probably next to nothing because no one thought this was going to be the biggest thing in the world.
yeah,
So when, and it was supposed to be a one season thing, maybe sure there was that little tease at the end, but like I don't think that was like,
yeah.
That was
gonna
probably
it's,
Netflix saying, "Oh, build this in."
it was the Back to the Future ending where it's like, yeah, we got more adventures, but we don't really. And then this thing caught off, and
Mm-hmm.
they, took a dump truck full of money to his backyard and they said, here you go. We have
Yep.
$45.6 billion for you. Can you make us something else? And you could tell, like, I think in like the interviews, he's like, I'm done. Like I want to be done with this world. It's too depressing. It's like I want out, kind of thing. But you know, this season, I really wonder if it was like, all right, I don't remember the exact number of episodes. It was like I got 12 episodes in me. This is what the thing is. And then they're like, all right, well, we'll do, 6 and 6 or whatever it turned out to
Mhm.
be. And it was, I really think this is a one season kind of story that they're
Mhm.
breaking up in season two
Yeah.
and three. And that's this issue with
Yep.
the cliffhanger, which, yeah, is annoying. And initially, when watching this for me, like, I was actually annoyed, whatever it was, episode 3, when he went back into the games and we got the red light, green light again. And I was like, I know it's called Squid Game, but it's like, I really like the espionage, like, outside of the game and
Yeah.
trying to like see how they're like, seeing the recruiter out, like seeing the other side of things. But then
Hmm.
after the first game, I was kind of, I like this switch up a bit here, okay. We got voting, added in there, made these like two factions. Oh, you have this like attempt at the end to overthrow the guards, when it was initially happening, I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. Like I'm like I want like,
Yeah.
while it was eventually unsuccessful, it was like so there were some things in there, but yeah, there's a mix of things. Like it was never going to be like the surprise it was season 1. And
Hmm.
even just like some of the things where it's like, okay, like even how like the guards, kill the players, where it's like this season, I feel like I was just like, all right, we're just shooting. And it was like the first one, there was like unique ways that they like died, where it's like, oh, they fell from the glass floor. There was the tug of war. There was like different things that like, made it almost like a Saw game or something, like it had different elements, but it was like, oh, you know, they're gonna kill him after this round. Like this,
Hmm.
it feels very much like you kind of know or even like when the games start, you're like, oh, they're gonna kill him this way because you can kind of get ahead of it a little
I,
bit.
I do wonder if that was to set up the idea that the guards are always there with guns, so they have a reason to try and steal their guns. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
they're kind of
maybe.
leaning into it. I don't know if that
Mm.
was the reason, but that kind of feels like it might have been.
Yeah, maybe. And yeah, I'm realizing diving deep in there because it's been 3 years. I've a lot to say, but John, I never even asked what did you think of this season?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. It wasn't season 1. I don't think we can really rebottle that lightning, but it didn't make me want to stop watching.
Yeah,
I think they were smart to have that red light, green light as, I mean, that's the iconic one from the first one. It makes sense to have it again for the second one and establish that, he's
and it
played
was
these
fun
games
where he did
before.
this.
Yeah, and all that. And I'm glad that they aren't rehashing all the same games. That
Yeah,
I think would be
Yeah.
not really all that entertaining. So I'm glad
I
it's
thought
not.
the I thought the circle
the
one with
merry-go-round.
yeah, it was
Yeah,
a fun one.
yeah.
That was
Yeah,
a cool
yeah.
one.
I think that was good.
Um,
I maybe it's also because it's just a difference in culture, like not knowing the I don't
mm,
know what the five-legged race kind of thing.
mhm.
With the I forget what it's called, pentathlon or whatever it is, but those like unique games with not really knowing them and
Yeah.
stuff like that. What's going on? Meanwhile, the first season, I think those games were just a little bit more iconic, whether it's like the
Hmm.
marbles or
Mhm.
like the glass floor in tug of war. Like those are a little bit more common and more like unique
Yeah.
instead of like, oh, here's like 5 little mini games like all
Mhm.
tied together. But yeah, and yeah, you have the front man, back into the games as player one.
Hmm.
You know, 4, 5, 6. You got to stop trusting players number one.
One,
Like,
yeah.
if they have one, they're bad. Like, but it's also becoming a little bit of like the Bond villain issue. I feel like where like we can't kill 4, 5, 6. We want to make him suffer. We'll tell you the whole
Mm,
plan, and you'll just you're our ray of hope, and we're gonna crush you. It's like you know how this will end, right? Like you keep bringing him along when you should have been killing him. He's gonna come back and kill you. Like it's
Yeah.
he's gonna
yeah.
cause more problems. So why don't you, just take care of the problem and then you can keep going. But like, um, yeah,
What's crazy is right the game maker or number one or whatever.
yep,
Everyone is in on it, right?
yeah,
So even the people in the red suits and all that,
yeah,
they're in on it, right? They know that he's the dude.
yeah, yeah,
But he's also killing them, right? At some points.
He killed one. in
Yeah.
the merry-go-round one because
I thought he killed some.
Well, he
shooter, too.
killed the player, but I think you're saying like, did the player ever one kill any of the guards?
Red guys, the guards.
Oh,
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
I would have to rewatch. I think he, yeah, I think he might have. I think there was two that had their backs to them when they were doing the raid.
Yeah.
I feel like they shot him in the hallway. I feel like,
Yeah. So what I'm saying is like at that point they're all scared of him, but like if they're gonna die for him too, it's just like what's the point? You know what I mean?
yeah,
But because what I thought the whole thing about this was anonymity. But if I
Yeah,
guess
like
if
with the
he's running
masks,
the
yeah.
game, then I guess it makes sense. But it just seems kind of odd.
yeah.
Well,
There's a
do
lot
they
of like,
know? Do they know that he's like the person leading it? I mean, they might have directions not to kill 001, but not know that he's the leader. You know what I mean?
But
Like,
I think there was one moment where one of the guards looked at him in the
yeah.
crowd and was like, "Oh, wait, it's that dude." Like that's how it
possible. Yeah.
looked.
I
It's
don't know.
possible because
I don't
like
know.
I don't know for sure because yeah, like they wear their masks so often that I don't know who has seen him without
Mm,
his mask. It's
there's
tough, and there's definitely like little things that like you can like if I think if we really sat and thought about it, it's been like a month since I watched these, that it's like, okay, the reason why his team was the very last team to go in the circle,
Yeah.
triathlon kind of thing. It's like, well, if he doesn't make it, we can kill all the other ones and there's no witnesses. Like,
Yeah.
so it's
yeah.
like there's little things like that. But like, yeah, I would have to really rewatch it, I
Yeah. Well,
guess, and
he
see
didn't
if
play the first game, so he was
yeah.
safe from that. I mean, it's a big
Mm.
crowd game, and everyone's
Yeah.
getting to know each other. And
Yeah.
I'm sure. I think at points in the merry-go-round, he could have slipped away, and no one would. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there was a point where he said, "All right, you four team up," and he just disappeared. And like, did he go to
Yeah.
a room? Did he get sanctuary somewhere else? Like, we don't know. So,
Mm.
I'm sure they're bending over backwards to make sure that he's safe.
Yeah.
Yeah. A couple other things that I want to
Yeah.
point out from so the guy that found 456, right? The main guy that found him with the game with you slap
Yes,
the
the recruiter
thing.
there,
Yeah,
yeah.
the recruiter there. They're trying to find this dude for like what is it, 3 years, 5 years, something like that.
I think so.
And then this guy who's never seen ever is now making a big fiasco in the middle of a park with a bunch of homeless people. It's
guess.
just like, well, I thought we couldn't find this dude. Now he's making a show of it. What's going on?
Well,
he had that invitation in his pocket, so maybe at that point he was like, "All right, we know that 456 is looking for us. Let's make it
Okay.
easy to find." Like, I don't
Okay.
know if that's the case, but
Could be.
Obviously he came prepared for that in some way.
Could be.
I want to mention like the detective that like, as you were saying, oh, we can't find this thing for 3 years. This detective, who,
Yeah.
out on the boat there, searching every island. It's like, dude, do you not remember? You were on this island. You were there. And not only that, you were shot on an island. And I know the boat driver that found him was, on the bad side of things here. But still, it's like, it's 3 years. Like, I think you could be able to find one. There's not that many islands, and like even just being like, hey, that looks like the one I fell from or something.
Yeah.
Like, that's a pretty
Yeah.
traumatic moment in your life. I think you would remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I don't know.
But also, isn't the whole the thing, because I wanted to mention the ship captain, because isn't the
Yeah.
whole thing like he's the one that found him
Yeah.
and then brought him back, so now he's sabotaging it, or what was it? What was the plan there? Like made him survive.
Well, maybe he's just like, it's like because this is like, isn't this the brother of player one or brother related to player one?
Something like that. Yeah.
The detective. So then it's like, oh, we're gonna keep him alive, but then it's like, oh well, if we just keep driving him around in circles and we have the boat captain just like, oh yeah, I don't know where it is,
Yeah.
then it's like, oh, he'll never find it, and it's just like a needle in a haystack for
Yeah.
years and years.
Okay.
But the thing that was, I mean, I know we're it's. I'm sure there's plenty of people online like, you guys don't know, you don't. It's like we saw it once a month ago. It was hard to, but anyways. The dumbest thing, and I know it's the purpose of the show, but man, player 456 really thinking that this plan would work. That
Yeah.
like with the GPS in his tooth or whatever, especially after you asked to go back in the games and you already have a crew tracking your every move. they're not gonna think at the very
Yeah.
least. I'm sure they have a device on you anyways that's like a metal detector kind of thing, where it's like, oh, yep, there's a radio Bluetooth wave coming from you, like,
Yeah.
um, or who knows? Maybe even the first game, it's like, yeah, they got some dental records, and it's like, oh, you got a different dental record. Oh, let's check this. Like, there's so much stuff, but for you to be
Yeah.
like, I want to go back in the game so adamantly. Like they're gonna be like, wait, why do you want to go back in here?
Yeah.
You've already tried killing bunch of our people and our
Yeah.
recruiter. Something's not right. But I don't know. I want to talk about some of these new characters real quick.
hmm
I want we got Thanos here. This was a character for me. It's like I like of all these characters, this is the one. Well, yeah, he's bad, but he's a fun villain. You love to hate him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
works. Just him like dancing at the different games, and it's just like he was a lot of fun, this character.
Yeah, he was.
But the two that I couldn't get on board with, I really hated the old man who kept voting to continue. The guy on the left. Dude, it's like you are not making it. You really think you're gonna keep making it here?
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
out. You're not gonna make it. So stop voting to continue. You're clearly cannon fodder. But the other one was the son and the mother son storyline. Maybe it was just the acting
Oof.
for me. Maybe it's a style of acting that I'm just not used to in American television. I don't know. Like maybe it's like
Style of acting.
it could
Yeah,
be like,
bad acting.
I don't know. I don't know. It's like,
I'm joking.
but he just made so many dumb choices too, and it's just like, what's interesting though is with this, there's some stuff that like mirrored storylines from the reality Squid Games, the like reality competition series that came out between season 1 and 2. There was a mother-son in that reality Squid
Mm,
Game. And it's like, so there was like little things like that where I was like,
Mhm.
oh, this is interesting. Like the voting stuff and some other things. It's like, and I really wonder how much the show creator
Pull from
had
that.
any pulled from that or like planted those things in that.
mm,
Like, because it's interesting, like, there, to have a little bit of this
dynamic.
overlap is
Yeah.
yeah, but um, any other thoughts on Squid Game season 2?
Um.
They should have just made it one big long.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Squid
Netflix
Games
though.
2
They
and just
want
be
you to
done.
you
I
want that
know. They want that
subscription.
sub money.
Did we
It's
ever
going up
find?
again.
Did we ever
Yeah.
find out the end of the storyline of the sniper girl?
I was gonna. That's on my
No.
list of
It's
unresolved
just
stuff.
like we didn't even come close. They didn't even give us a
Yeah.
little hint at the end. I don't think
Nope.
it's
No.
just such a weird storyline to just
Yeah,
never
it
come
was a
back
good
to.
like reveal when like we see her like her humanity in the real world, and then like she's at the Squid Games, and then you see the pink, and you're like, oh, whoa, and then it's like,
Yeah.
all right, we need some more here.
Yeah, we do.
But on the bright side, I don't think we're gonna have a 3-year wait. Season 3 is supposedly coming out 2025, so sometime this year. I don't know if it'll be December again. I don't know if it'll be sooner, but
I
we're
mean,
gonna get
it makes
season 3.
sense to film it all when you got all the people
Yeah.
together. Why
Oh yeah,
not?
definitely, especially because it seems like it's one of those continuation.
And it's one big set except for the exterior stuff. So
Yeah.
why not do it
Yeah,
while you got
so
everyone together?
yeah, so it ended on a cliffhanger, obviously for 4, 5, 6. There's also like this hint of like these like maybe 2 motion sensor dolls. Like I don't know what those are. Like
Mm,
so that's interesting. It's a new game, something or other, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see whenever Squid Game rolls around. It's the final season, so they're gonna wrap this thing up somehow. But at the end of the day, it was still a lot of fun. There were some things that
yeah.
didn't really work. There were some pacing issues. I thought the voting, as much as I love Survivor and all
I
these vote
know the
shows,
voting.
little drawn out. We could have
I
sped this up a
know.
little bit.
How many shots of just hands on buttons can we do?
Yeah.
Well, they had to make it 2 seasons. So they
Like, do
had
we
to-
really need all 456 players voting? Can we just yada yada some of these to get to the final
we
total?
can censor
Yeah.
456 images moving with a motion sensor, but
Yeah.
we can't take votes all at the same time. Everybody A, everybody nay. We got to go one by one.
Yeah, you need like the things that like I think like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, like the audience where it's like you would have A, B, C, D to ask the audience. Just have that on every person, like every
No,
like
I
button.
don't-
It's like you want yes or no? Yes. No.
I think it's
Okay.
I think it's great to have them all psychologically walk up there.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
We just don't need to see it.
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
that's
we
the
don't need to
real
see it.
that's the real answer.
I agree. It's good to see that and to have those stickers on you of saying like this is how I voted and really
Yeah.
the line dividing the room. There's stuff there. But yeah, it's like all right, like
It's just funny
I
to
don't
think
need
about,
a
but
no
yeah,
player
it is
1, 2,
creates
3
good
voted
drama.
yes, 1, 2, 4 voted no, 1, 2, 5 voted no. It's like all right. Unless they're a speaking part, like they can.
They're gonna have the talking heads in the corner interviewing each person of why they chose next season.
Yeah, post
That's
game
funny.
recap by some commentators. But all right, ran a little long tonight, but oh well. We had a lot of big things to talk about, and we might have a little bit of a break again. We took a break before this one, and we're gonna have another one now. Sorry, big TBD for the next show. No predictions from me this year, at least. Maybe John and Kyle will still compete against Good, Bad, and Watchable. But we're looking like March for our next show. Maybe recap the Oscars by then. We'll definitely try to get back together for the season 2 finale of Severance.
Yeah. Oh
so-
man.
Yeah, so we're planning on that. The best way to make sure you don't miss an episode is to subscribe, social media, follow, do whatever you can to make sure you get the alerts, you get the notifications. That's the best way to make sure you don't miss these episodes, especially with this schedule change. But you got episodes on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, the blog, doredundancy.com. We're on Twitch, twitch.tv/doredundancy. We're live on YouTube as well at the same time. You can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, if you still have it. If you don't, I don't know. Like it's up in the air with that. We're on Facebook as well. But yeah. So follow us on social media. Probably Instagram's the best one right now for that. I got to thank both you guys for joining me tonight on a Friday night. Thank you guys so
Oh
much.
yeah, Friday
John,
pod.
directing the show, getting up on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. Couldn't do it without you guys.
Sure.
But all right. Until next time, I'm David Allen.
I'm John Berwick.
And I'm Kyle Bridger.
And that's all we got for Dual Redundancy. Goodbye, everybody.